The command center fell silent as Admiral Taewon reviewed the casualty reports. Their last defensive line had collapsed, and the Void Dominion forces were advancing on 3 fronts. As the Alliance leaders prepared to discuss surrender terms, Science Director Yoonji burst into the room breathless. "Admiral, we found them, a species that survived challenges just like ours. They call themselves humans." Taewon looked up from the holographic display, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of deep skepticism among his kind. The blue skin around his neck flared slightly, betraying his exhaustion after 36 hours without rest. Around the circular table, the other Alliance commanders stirred, their various appendages shifting as they turned toward Yoonji. "Another primitive species," growled General Suho, the massive reptilian commander of their ground forces. His scaled tail thumped against the floor. "We need warriors, not study subjects." Yoonji shook her head, her antenna quivering with excitement. "No, you don't understand. These aren't primitives. They've fought wars that would make even the Dominion hesitate." She tapped her wrist device, and the center of the table lit up with images of Earth. Cities sprawled across continents. Aircraft carriers cutting through blue oceans, tanks rolling across deserts. "Their planet is called Earth," she continued, "and they've nearly destroyed it multiple times. They split the atom 200 years ago. They've fought global wars. That killed millions, and yet—" She paused, her voice dropping. "They're still here, still fighting, still surviving." Taewon studied the images carefully. "How advanced are their space capabilities?" "They've just achieved faster-than-light travel," Yoonji replied. "Our scout ship detected their first experimental jump drive activation, but that's not why I'm here." She tapped again, and new images appeared. Human military formations, tactical displays, weapons systems. They fight differently than any species we've encountered. They don't follow the standard patterns. They adapt. They improvise. They do things that make no logical sense until suddenly they win. The room fell silent again as the Alliance leaders watched footage of human conflict, urban warfare, guerrilla tactics, small forces overcoming larger ones through creativity and sheer stubborn will. Minho, the strategic analyst with translucent skin that revealed his nervous system pulsing with activity, leaned forward. "The Dominion bases all their tactics on predictability. Their AIs calculate optimal responses to known patterns." "Exactly," said Yoonji. "Humans don't follow patterns, they break them." A proximity alarm blared, cutting through the conversation. The tactical display updated, showing Dominion forces closing in on their position. They had hours, maybe less. Admiral Taewon closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, his decision was made. "How do we contact them?" "Our scout ship already has," Yoonji replied. "We sent mathematical sequences, universal constants." "And they responded?" Yoonji smiled. "Within minutes. They're curious, eager even. And they understand what we're facing. They've sent coordinates for a meeting point." General Suho slammed his clawed hand on the table. "This is madness. We don't have time to gamble on an untested species." "We don't have time not to," Taewon responded quietly. "Look at the projections. The Dominion will reach our core worlds within 60 cycles. After that, there's nothing left to save." The room erupted in arguments. Some agreed with Suho, insisting they make a final stand with what forces remained. Others thought surrender might spare civilian populations. A few sat in resigned silence. Taewon raised a hand and the room quieted. "I've watched our people die for 15 years, he said. "I've ordered brave soldiers into battles I knew they couldn't win. I've evacuated planets knowing half the population would be left behind." His voice remained steady, but his skin darkened with emotion. "If there's even a small chance these humans can help us see tomorrow, I'm taking it." He turned to his communications officer. "Prepare my shuttle. I'll meet these humans myself." "Admiral," Suho protested, "the Council will never approve." "The Council isn't here," Taewon replied, "and we're out of options." He stared once more at the images of Earth, at the strange, bipedal species that had somehow survived their own violent nature. They looked fragile, soft skin, no natural weapons, average strength. Yet something about their eyes held a fire he recognized. The same fire he'd seen in his own troops before years of defeat slowly extinguished it. As Taiwan prepared to leave, Yunji approached him privately. "There's something else you should know about humans, Admiral." "What's that?" "They have a saying. The more impossible the odds, the more they like the fight." She smiled slightly. "The Dominion thinks this war is over. Humans live for proving others wrong." For the first time in years, Admiral Taiwan felt something dangerous stirring in his chest, something the Dominion had nearly beaten out of him and his forces. "Hope, tell." "Them we're coming," he said, "and tell them to bring their best fighters. The war they're about to join makes their world wars look like practice." The human delegation arrived with little ceremony. Captain Do Hyun studied the Alliance battle maps with narrowed eyes, while Commander Jiwoo spoke with the alien leaders. The Alliance officers watched in confusion as the humans reviewed their strategies and simply shook their heads. "Your formations are too predictable," Do Hyun finally said. "We'll need to change everything." The Alliance war room fell silent. Admiral Taiwan's 4 eyes blinked rapidly as he processed the humans' blunt assessment. Around the circular holotable, representatives from 7 different species shifted uncomfortably. They had expected gratitude, perhaps even awe from these newcomers, not criticism. "Captain Do Hyun," Taiwan said carefully, "our military strategists have refined these formations over centuries of space combat." Do Hyun ran a hand through his short black hair, seemingly unimpressed by the Admiral's credentials. He was younger than the Alliance leaders had expected, perhaps only in his mid-30s, by human standards. His uniform was simple and practical, lacking the elaborate rank insignia the Alliance officers wore. "And how many battles have you won recently?" Do Hyun asked, tapping the holographic display where red markers overwhelmed blue ones across multiple. Star Systems General Suho, the massive reptilian commander, hissed softly. "Mind your tone, human, you're guests here." "We're allies," Commander Jiwoo corrected. Unlike Captain Do Hyun's direct approach, she spoke with diplomatic smoothness, and allies tell each other hard truths. Jiwoo stood next to the display, her presence commanding despite her smaller stature compared to most alien representatives. She had arrived wearing a formal Earth Union uniform, but had since changed into something more practical, lightweight armor that allowed for quick movement. "The Void Dominion uses predictive algorithms," Jiwoo continued. "They've studied your battle patterns for centuries. Your ships always move in the same formations. Your retreat paths follow mathematical principles. You're fighting by a rulebook. They memorized long ago." Engineering Chief Bonhua, a 6-limbed specialist with golden skin that seemed to shimmer under the room's lights, leaned forward. "So, what would humans do differently?" Do Hyun smiled for the first time since arriving. He stepped forward and began manipulating the holographic controls with surprising ease. "First, we throw out standard formations entirely. Every engagement needs to look different from the last." The display shifted as he rearranged the Alliance fleet into scattered, seemingly random positions. "Second, we use your technological weaknesses as strengths." The Alliance officers exchanged confused glances. "Our weaknesses?" Science Director Yunji questioned. "Your Class 3 ships can't match Dominion vessels in firepower," Do Hyun explained, "but they're faster and can make tighter turns. So instead of meeting them head-on, for the next hour, the humans outlined battle tactics that seemed utterly chaotic to the Alliance commanders. Fake retreats that turned into ambushes, mining vessels repurposed as explosive decoys, supply ships hiding attack craft in their cargo bays. "This isn't warfare," General Suho growled. "It's trickery." "It's survival," Jiwoo replied simply. "Where we come from, when you're outgunned, you get creative or you die." Admiral Taiwan studied the humans carefully. Their planet had never united under a single government. Their history was filled with conflicts between their own kind. Perhaps that explained their different approach to warfare. They had been fighting against themselves for thousands of years. "Even if these tactics work once," strategic analyst Min Ho objected, his translucent skin pulsing with nervous energy, "the Dominion will adapt." "Then we adapt faster," Do Hyun said with a shrug. "Humans are good at that." As the debate continued, a young Alliance communications officer burst into the room. "Admiral, Dominion scout ships have entered the Nyalis system. They'll reach the evacuation fleet in hours." The room erupted in urgent conversation. The evacuation fleet carried thousands of civilian refugees and was protected by only a skeleton military escort. "We need to send reinforcements immediately," General Suho insisted. "There aren't any to send," Admiral Taewon replied grimly. "Every combat-ready vessel is already deployed." Do-hyun and Ji-woo exchanged a look. "Our ship could reach them," Ji-woo offered. "The Dauntless isn't large, but it's fast and well-armed." 1. "Ship against a Dominion scouting party?" Suho scoffed. "You'd be destroyed before you fired a shot." "Maybe," Do-hyun said with a confidence that confused the Alliance leaders. "But I'd like to test some of those theories we just discussed." Admiral Taewon studied the humans carefully. They showed no fear, only a strange eagerness that seemed almost inappropriate given the stakes. "The refugees on those transports include children from 3 different species," Taewon said solemnly. "If you fail—" "We won't," Ji-woo interrupted. "But we'll need control of our ship and complete tactical freedom." After a moment's hesitation, Taewon nodded. "Granted." As the humans turned to leave, Science Director Yoonji called after them. "You've never even seen a Dominion warship in combat. How can you be so confident?" Do-hyun paused at the doorway. "Because where humans come from, we learn to fight on our feet. The most dangerous enemy isn't the one with the biggest weapons. It's the one you've never fought before." He smiled slightly. "Today, that's us." The humans departed, leaving the Alliance leaders in an uncomfortable silence. "Do you believe they can succeed?" Minho asked quietly. Admiral Taewon watched the tactical display as the human ship broke formation and accelerated toward the Nialis system. "I don't know," he admitted. "But for the first time in years, I'm curious to see what happens next." The Void Dominion fleet never saw the attack coming. Using retrofitted mining vessels and improvised weapons, the human-led squadron struck from an approach the Dominion had deemed impossible. When the dust settled, 3 enemy dreadnoughts had been disabled using tactics no alien strategist would have considered. "Impossible," whispered Admiral Taewon as the reports came in. "They've accomplished in days what we couldn't in years." The Alliance Command Center hummed with stunned silence as the tactical display updated in real time. The red markers representing Dominion warships blinked from active to disabled one after another. No one spoke. No one even seemed to breathe. For 15 years, the Void Dominion had crushed every Alliance offensive. Now, somehow, the tide had turned. "Play it again," ordered Taewon, his 4 eyes fixed on the main screen. The recording began. It showed the Nialis system, where the Dominion had positioned a blockade to intercept refugee ships. Their formation was perfect, a textbook deployment that had worked countless times before. The Alliance had lost thousands of ships to such blockades. Then came the humans. Instead of approaching through normal space, Captain Do-hyun had ordered the mining vessels to dump their raw ore, thousands of tons of unrefined metals, directly into the path of the Dominion ships. Then they detonated precisely calibrated charges within the debris field. "They created a kinetic storm," explained Science Director Yoonji, her voice filled with wonder. "The Dominion shields are designed to stop energy weapons and missiles, with guidance systems, not rocks." On the screen, the Dominion ship's shields flared brilliantly as they tried to repel countless high-velocity metal fragments. While the enemy diverted power to their forward shields, the Dauntless and 2 Alliance fast-attack vessels emerged from hiding behind Nialis's third moon, a position the Dominion had dismissed as tactically worthless because of the intense radiation in that sector. "The humans modified their ship to withstand the radiation," General Suho said, his reptilian features twisted in disbelief. "They took damage to their own systems to gain tactical advantage." The recording continued. With the Dominion ships distracted by the debris field, the human vessel targeted not their weapons or engines, as Alliance doctrine would dictate, but their communications array. A precision strike, followed by a barrage aimed at their sensor systems. "They blinded them," muttered strategic analyst Minho, his translucent skin pulsing rapidly with excitement, "then confused them." The final stage of the attack was perhaps the most shocking. Rather than pressing their advantage with a killing blow, the humans had transmitted conflicting orders on Dominion emergency channels, creating confusion among the enemy fleet. Two Dominion ships had actually fired on each other before realizing the deception. As the recording ended, the command center erupted in conversation. Officers who had been planning their surrender just days ago now spoke excitedly about offensive possibilities. The doors slid open, and Captain Do-hyun entered alongside Commander Ji-woo. The room fell silent again. The humans looked tired. Ji-woo's arm was bandaged where a console had exploded during the battle, and Do-hyun's face was smudged with soot. But their eyes were bright, with the unmistakable fire of victory. "Admiral." Tae-won stepped forward. "Captain Commander, the Alliance owes you a debt we cannot repay." Do-hyun shrugged, seemingly uncomfortable with the formality. "The refugees got through safely, that's what matters." "But you did more than that," insisted Yoon-ji. "You proved the Dominion can be beaten." "Not just beaten," said Ji-woo, unfolding a portable display of her own. "We've learned something crucial about them." The command center's main screen changed to show detailed scans of the damaged Dominion vessels. Ji-woo pointed to specific sections of their hull where the alien metal had fractured in unusual patterns. "They rely too heavily on their predictive systems," she explained. "When something truly unexpected happens, they freeze for approximately 12 seconds before adapting. That's our window." 12 seconds? General Suho scoffed. "What can be accomplished in 12 seconds of battle?" Do-hyun smiled. "On Earth, we have a saying. In combat, a single second can change everything." He stepped to the main tactical display and began manipulating the controls with the ease of someone who had spent his life studying warfare. The Dominion isn't accustomed to surprise. Their entire strategy depends on knowing what comes next. We need to be the thing they can't predict. As Do-hyun outlined his next plan, Admiral Tae-won watched the faces of his officers. For months, he had seen only resignation in their eyes. Now he saw something new growing, something the humans had brought with them: hope. Later, as the command center emptied and officers rushed to implement the humans' suggestions, Tae-won found Do-hyun alone studying star charts of Dominion-controlled space. "I must ask you something," the admiral said quietly. "Your ship sustained heavy damage during the battle. You lost crew members." Do-hyun nodded solemnly. 5 good people. Yet you seem eager to engage the enemy again. On Earth, do humans not fear death?" Do-hyun looked up from the charts, his expression thoughtful. "We fear it as much as any species. Admiral, maybe more since we don't have your extended lifespans." He paused. "But humans have always been willing to risk everything when it matters. And this matters to you. A war in a distant part of space, between species you only just met. You asked for our help," Do-hyun said simply. "Where I come from, that means something." As the admiral turned to leave, Communications Officer Yoon Seo rushed in, her eyes wide with excitement. "Admiral, we're receiving transmissions from Alliance outposts in 3 systems. They've heard about the victory at Nialis. They're asking—" She hesitated, as if hardly believing her own words. "They're asking for instructions to fight back." Tae-won looked at Do-hyun, who smiled slightly. "That's how it starts," the human said quietly. "One victory, then another. Then people remember. They're fighting for something, not just against something." For the first time in what felt like ages, Admiral Tae-won straightened to his full height, his skin brightening with renewed purpose. "Send word to all Alliance forces," he ordered. "The resistance has begun." As more human ships arrived, the Alliance species studied their new allies with fascination. Humans worked in chaotic patterns, argued fiercely over tactics, then united perfectly in execution. They laughed in the face of danger and celebrated each small victory as if it were the end of the war. High Overseer Kang's fury echoed through the Dominion command ship. "Find their weakness. No species can be this adaptable." The Alliance observation deck buzzed with activity as aliens from a dozen worlds gathered to watch the humans train. Through the reinforced viewport, they could see a large hangar bay where 50 human soldiers moved in formation, then broke apart, then reformed in entirely new patterns. Science Director Yoon-ji made notes on her tablet, her antenna twitching. With excitement every time the humans did something unexpected, they argue constantly, she murmured to Admiral Taiwan, who stood beside her. "I've never seen a military force with so much disagreement." Below them, two human squad leaders were engaged in a heated debate, pointing at holographic battle maps and gesturing emphatically. Their voices carried through the observation deck's audio feed. "That approach leaves the left flank exposed for too long," shouted Lieutenant Yoon, jabbing her finger at the display. "It's supposed to," Lieutenant Hyunwoo fired back. "That's how we draw them in." The Alliance officers watching exchanged uncomfortable glances. In their militaries, such public disagreement between officers would be unthinkable. Admiral Taiwan leaned closer to Unji. "Are they always like this?" "Always," she confirmed. "Yet watch what happens next." As if on cue, Commander Jiwoo stepped between the arguing lieutenants. She spoke a few quiet words, listened to both sides, then made a decisive gesture. Immediately, both officers nodded, tension dissolving from their postures. Within moments, they were working together, modifying the battle plan to incorporate elements from both their strategies. "Remarkable," whispered strategic analyst Minho, his translucent skin pulsing with fascination. "They thrive on conflict, yet resolve it so quickly. It's how they generate ideas," Yunji explained. "They call it constructive disagreement. Each human has different perspectives, different approaches. They clash, then combine the best parts." The observation deck doors slid open, and Captain Do Hyun entered. The Alliance officers straightened respectfully, a gesture that would have been unimaginable just weeks ago when the humans first arrived. After 3 successful operations against Dominion forces, the humans had earned something rare in the eye. Alliance genuine respect. Admiral Do Hyun greeted Taiwan with a sharp nod. "The Earth Defense Fleet has cleared the jump point. 5 more ships will arrive within the day." A murmur of excitement rippled through the observation deck. Each human vessel brought new tactics, new technologies, new hope. "How many humans have volunteered?" asked General Suho, his scaled tail swishing with barely contained energy. "Just over 2,000 for now," Do Hyun replied. "But more are coming. Word is spreading back home. 2,000 against the Dominion's billions," muttered an Alliance officer from the back of the room. Do Hyun's face broke into a smile that puzzled many of the alien observers. "On Earth, we have many stories about small forces defeating vast empires. It's kind of our thing." Meanwhile, aboard the Dominion command vessel Inevitable Conquest, High Overseer Kang slammed his armored fist against the tactical display, cracking its surface. The hologram flickered but stabilized, still showing the same infuriating data. A 3rd consecutive Dominion defeat. "Impossible!" he roared, his voice echoing through the cavernous bridge. "Our predictive engines have never failed before." Senior Analyst Velour approached cautiously, her slender form seeming to glide across the polished black floor. Like all high-ranking Dominion officials, her natural body had been extensively augmented, with cybernetic enhancements that gleamed under the harsh lighting. "Overseer, we've analyzed the battle recordings," she said, her voice artificially modulated to project calm. "The humans don't follow standard combat doctrine. They improvise continuously." "All species follow patterns," Kang insisted, his cybernetic eye whirring as it focused on the data. "Our algorithms have conquered 1,000 worlds by identifying and exploiting these patterns. The humans appear different," Velour said carefully. "They use tactics that seem deliberately irrational." "Example?" Kang demanded. Velour brought up footage from their most recent defeat. Here they sacrificed 12 ships to save 1. The ship contained no strategic value, no important personnel, yet they diverted significant resources to rescue it. "Inefficient," Kang muttered. "Yes, but it inspired the Alliance forces." After this rescue, Alliance combat effectiveness increased by 23%. Kang paced the length of the bridge, his heavy footsteps causing younger officers to shrink back. "What about biological weaknesses? Every species has them." "They appear fragile," Velour acknowledged. "No natural armor, limited strength, poor sensory capabilities compared to most spacefaring species. Yet they compensate with technology and something else." "What else?" Kang growled. "They celebrate," she said, sounding confused. "After each battle, even minor skirmishes, they gather and engage in communal rituals. They consume food and beverages together. They produce rhythmic sounds. They laugh." Footage on the main screen changed to show humans in an Alliance mess hall, raising drinks, slapping each other on the back, roaring with laughter. Even more strange, they had pulled Alliance personnel into their celebrations. "They're treating war like a game," Kang said in disbelief. "No," Velour corrected him. "Their historical records show they take war very seriously. But they find joy, even in darkness. It seems to strengthen them." Kang turned to his weapons officer. "Prepare the Worldbreaker. If we cannot defeat them through conventional means, we will show them the true power of the Dominion." A hushed silence fell over the bridge. The Worldbreaker was their ultimate weapon, capable of tearing a planet's crust apart. It had been used only twice in Dominion history, each time ending resistance across entire sectors. Overseer, Velour, ventured, "We have no confirmation that the humans' homeworld is directly involved." The diplomatic, "I don't care," Kang roared. "Find their weakness. Track their vessels back to their origin point. No species can be this adaptable, this unpredictable. They must be made an example of before more arrive." As the Dominion ship changed course, setting itself on a collision path with humanity's future, back at the Alliance station, Commander Jiwoo stood before a mixed group of human and alien soldiers. She held up a small object that gleamed in the light, a patch showing Earth and alien hands clasped together. "We're no longer fighting just for ourselves," she told them, her voice carrying across the now silent hangar. "We're fighting for each other, for a galaxy where different species can work together, learn from each other, protect each other." She began distributing the patches to both human and alien warriors. "The Dominion thinks their strength comes from uniformity, from perfect prediction and control. Our strength comes from our differences, from combining our unique perspectives and abilities." Admiral Tae-won watched from the observation deck, his four eyes blinking rapidly, a sign of deep emotion among his species. "I've commanded fleets for 50 years, he said softly to Captain Do-hyun, who stood beside him. "I've never seen my troops look like this." "Like what?" Do-hyun asked. Tae-won struggled to find the word. "Like they believe victory is possible." Do-hyun nodded, watching as humans and aliens below exchanged stories, shared tactics, and prepared for the battles ahead. "That's the most dangerous weapon humans bring to any fight," he said. "Not our technology or our tactics. It's hope. Once it starts spreading, it's impossible to stop." Part 5. The turning point in the vast darkness of space. The Void Dominion believed they had humanity cornered. Their planet-killer weapon gleamed with menacing potential, a technological marvel designed to crush resistance in a single devastating strike. But they underestimated the human spirit, that unbreakable spark of determination that refuses to surrender. Do-hyun led a small, elite team into the heart of the weapon platform. Their mission seemed impossible: infiltrate an alien superstructure, bypass impossible security, and turn the most advanced weapon in the galaxy against its creators. Each step was calculated, each breath measured. Years of training, months of preparation, and an unshakable belief in their mission drove them forward. Meanwhile, Jiwoo orchestrated a brilliant diversionary attack. Scattered Alliance ships danced through enemy formations, drawing attention away from Do-hyun's team. It was a high-stakes game of tactical chess, with entire civilizations hanging in the balance. Inside the weapons control systems, Do-hyun's team worked with surgical precision. They drew inspiration from humanity's own weapons development history, understanding that every technological system has vulnerabilities. Lines of code became their weapons, algorithms their ammunition. What the Void Dominion considered an impenetrable fortress became clay in human hands. Admiral Tae-won watched the unfolding drama from the Alliance command ship. His weathered hands gripped the command console, years of military experience telling him something extraordinary was happening. When the weapons targeting systems suddenly shifted, pointing directly at the Void Dominion fleet, a rare smile crossed his face. "They thought it was all over," he murmured, his voice a mix of pride and disbelief, "until humans came." Across the galaxy, communication networks erupted. The Alliance beacon system lit up with messages from 100 different worlds, all carrying the same desperate hope: humans, Not as saviors or mythical heroes, but as partners, as that unpredictable variable that could change everything. This wasn't just a military victory. It was a statement about adaptability, about refusing to accept predetermined outcomes. The Void Dominion had calculated every possible scenario, except the human capacity to reimagine the impossible. Du Hyun's team worked with a combination of technical brilliance and raw human intuition. Where alien systems were rigid, they were fluid. Where the enemy expected logical progression, they introduced calculated chaos. Each reprogrammed circuit was a testament to human creativity. The weapon that was meant to destroy humanity now became humanity's instrument of resistance. Massive energy signatures erupted from the platform, transforming from an instrument of extinction to a beacon of hope. Void Dominion ships scattered, their perfect formation dissolving into panic. Jiwoo's diversionary attacks had been more than just a distraction. They were a psychological operation, showing the enemy that humans were never truly cornered. Every maneuver was a message. We adapt, we overcome, we fight. As the battle turned, something profound happened. It wasn't just about technological superiority or military strategy. It was about spirit, the unquantifiable human ability to find solutions where none seemingly existed. The galaxy watched, holding its collective breath. This moment would be remembered not just as a military victory, but as a turning point in interstellar conflict. Humans had proven they were more than just another species to be conquered. Admiral Taewon knew this was bigger than a single battle. This was about proving that diversity, creativity, and unwavering determination could challenge even the most overwhelming odds. In that moment, everything changed. The Void Dominion's seemingly unstoppable advance had been halted by a small team's incredible courage and ingenuity. The beacon of human potential now shone brightly across the stars.